I-95.5 FM celebrates with the legendary Calypso King of the world, the Mighty Sparrow. The Mighty Sparrow.
9:57 on time for me to pack it up and put it away and look towards the brand new week that's coming. Hope you're looking forward to it too, and of course planning to aspire.
Don't judge a man by what he used to be.
Take good care. Eye on Dependency is up next, and I'll be holding on to it. I anchor you through it.
Everybody deserves a chance in life. I'm sure you would agree. Don't try and condemn a person just so. It's true, will I not be?
If you see a man, you know that was bad.
Real bad.
Turning on your leaf where you should feel glad.
So glad.
Encourage and help him to get along. Instead of trying to pull him back down.
No,
that's wrong.
If at any time someone needs your help and you turn and walk away, in my book that is a serious offense. I don't care what you say. Don't eat, drink and laugh with me and behind the shoe in me name. Don't call me a brother man when you know you're only playing game.
If you see a man, you know that was bad.
Real bad.
Turning on your leaf where you should feel glad.
So glad.
Encourage and help him to get along. Instead of trying to pull him back down.
No,
that's wrong.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live, on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page, and YouTube channel.
Grand Rising and welcome to Dependency, right here on I-95.5 FM. I'm Garth.
And I'm Natasha. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. Today we are looking at what second chances really mean for people with criminal records in Trinidad and Tobago.
You might remember Daniel. He joined us earlier this year to talk about his remarkable life as a survivor in so many ways. Remember this guy who survived stabbings, kidnappings, being shot, a kidnapping and being shot? That's the man. He's in studio. He's back with us in studio today to share how a criminal record he got as a teenager still closes doors.
We will also be exploring how pardons and expungements work or don't work in many cases, and what needs to change so that people who've paid their debt to society can actually move on.
As always, we invite you to share your thoughts. We'll be opening up the phone lines later in the program. You can also watch us live on Facebook and YouTube and drop us your comments. Before we proceed, today, of course, you know we all the proof is in the pudding. So we have those of you who can join us via Facebook or YouTube. You'll have a chance to see the complications from recreational cannabis use. Disposable vapes, are they toxic or not? You will find out. Then we have a short feature on Cush, an epidemic in West Africa. That's about 3-4 minutes long, but we have Cush here too. No, what is it? Different kind. Remember, there are different kinds of Cush. Would this one reach here? We don't have to find out. Then, of course, we have a release from someone who spent 20 years in prison. We have some images of that. And those of you who would like to see what a presidential pardon looks like, I'm going to show you mine this morning. All right, I have a presidential pardon. It doesn't stop you from getting discriminated against, but one of the upside of this is that a presidential pardon allows me now to get a clean police certificate of good character. That's how important a presidential pardon is. We'll also be dealing with the delinquents of the Mercy Committee. And to the gentleman who called us last year, I think, sometime late last year, to bemoan the issue about the Mercy Committee and presidential pardons. And I got a phone call and got pushed back. Saying the man was stating false. Turns out the man was correct. So I want to apologize to him this morning if he's listening. I apologize to you, sir, for pointing out a burning issue in Trinidad and Tobago that was debunked by an official, when in truth and in fact he was speaking the truth, because we have an article to share with you from a newspaper, Judge Slams Delay by Mercy Committee and Prisons, from Justice Nadia Kangaloo. We're going to be sharing that with you this morning because it's important to understand where we are at, and the nonchalance, I would say, or the neglect by officials of the Mercy Committee. We don't know who they are. We don't know who these people are. We don't know when they sit. They have not sat for quite a while, because this article...
And how they are appointed as well.
And how they are appointed. And this article was written in 2023. And it's a bold statement from Justice Kangaloo that we'll share with you this morning. Trinidad and Tobago, this is serious. Whether you support reintegration and restorative justice or not, your child or you, like this morning when we come in here, we saw 4 people breaking traffic lights like normal. Now you break a traffic light and you hit someone, you're going to end up in court. And if a sobriety test is done on you on the spot, then you have a DUI on your hands, plus you bound someone breaking a traffic light. The normal citizens in this country who are happy when good boys get shot, you break traffic lights on a regular basis, and you don't see it as anything. You have a child who drives. You never know, they could have friends who would have drugs on them. Or your child may have drugs on them and they are caught. Now they're going through a zone. 10 years later, they want to change their life. This ceiling over their head because they cannot get a clean police certificate of good character. We have the receipts. People called us to ask us what to do. And all I have to direct them to the Defense Ministry now, Ministry of Homeland Security, sorry, and where you pick up a form and you fill it out and hope for the best.
Yeah, it also speaks to, God, apart from the administration or the bureaucracy associated with it, it speaks to our attitude towards persons who have spent time behind bars. Just the average citizen, employers. What are their attitudes and prejudices and discrimination against persons who have been in prison? And how can we address that to make them understand that once you have a prison record, it means that you have paid your debt to society for the crime that you were accused of and convicted of. And you should, as a citizen, be allowed to contribute to society without the stain of a criminal record after a certain period of time. Of course, you have to, demonstrate that you have, been rehabilitated and you can make that contribution to society, but are we willing to give our fellow citizens that second chance?
Yes, and the people who are selected for the Mercy Committee do believe that people deserve a second chance, because we have hundreds of people working in this country here who cannot get a clean police certificate of good character.
And these are persons who would have been convicted of non-violent offenses, many of them.
Many of them. And some of them up to 20 years. They're still walking around with a conviction.
Correct.
And so we don't know which ministry it will fall under now in this new government, but we have the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Justice, and Homeland Security. Let's hope somebody is listening and reactivate the Mercy Committee and clear people of their past sins. This can affect people from Penal to Roxborough. And so this is not pinpointing or marginalizing anyone. This is a Trinidad and Tobago issue, because there are people who were denied jobs. They were brilliant. They passed everything. And because they had a DUI in the case of someone who wanted to work for Caribbean Airlines gave him a fair chance. And they waited for, they will accept the receipt in the meantime before you get the certificate. So Caribbean Airlines give him that full opportunity. But the certificate came back dirty. He couldn't get the job. Of course, you don't want somebody who was charged with a DUI flying a plane. Come on. So, but then if he gets his record cleared, then he stands a chance. Someone wanted to join the municipal police. Same thing. These are crimes that they committed 10 years before, and it's still following them today. So we're going to touch all of that today without any delay, and hope that citizens in this country can start breathing a sigh of relief again, knowing that the Mercy Committee could either meet 2 or 3 times for the year and clear people's records. And we are going to show you examples of other jurisdictions, how they deal with this issue. So without further ado, Daniel, welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Agat. Good morning, Natasha.
Morning.
Thanks for having me again.
Right, so since you were here, Daniel, people were really impressed with your story, and they wish you all the best. But all the best cannot follow you, or you cannot achieve that unless you get your record clean.
True, yeah.
Now, the time behind bars. Now, what did you started off at YTRC first?
Yeah.
And that was because, could you remind the audience?
That was because of a charge what was laid as beyond control when I ran away from St. Mary's home.
Right.
Right. And how old were you then?
I was around 13, going on 14 years at that time.
Right.
And you spent how long there?
In YTC?
At YTC.
3 years at YTC.
YTRC now.
Yeah.
Right? And then you were released, and then you were arrested again for receiving
stolen items, a cell phone which I buy from on Marketplace.
On
Facebook.
Marketplace, that dreaded Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And some, just to remind people out there, you see phones today, they can be tracked. You're foolhardy for stealing a phone or even buying somebody else's phone, because police will come straight to your door for that phone. Just food for thought. How long did you stay in?
In MSP, I stayed about 8 to 7 months.
Right. And when you were released, you decided to walk the straight and narrow from there.
Yeah.
And to this day, you're not involved in any crime or any...
Since I left prison, that was it. I never went back. I never visited. I never got in a station cell. No police had to stop me anywhere. No question and nothing like that.
How long ago was that?
It's about 4 or 5 years now.
Right.
Since 2020, I'm out.
Okay.
Now, in his case, there should have been a committee to sit and read about his life and realize that circumstances made him who he was then.
Correct.
And
Even before that, I mean, the fact that he grew up in an orphanage and was placed in YTC for being beyond control, and according to Daniel, that conviction is also on your record.
Yeah.
Which is another, question mark, because you would assume that a juvenile detention such as the one that Daniel endured would not follow him into adulthood.
And that was a big red flag, I should say, for me, because one of the things I told Mr. Gata and all is that how it is I was in a juvenile facility, why is that on my record still? So that is one of the reasons why I'm back here.
Yeah, that is a huge, and I hope that maybe somebody who's listening can elucidate us as to why that might be, and how does the system work with regard to juvenile convictions.
Right. So, since then, have you ever applied for a certificate of good character?
Yes, I have applied many times, and when employers, I should say employers, when they hired me for jobs and they found out, well, I was in prison for etc., they was like they had to terminate me.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel embarrassed, I feel shame, I feel heartbroken knowing that after so long I've been out of prison, and knowing that I want change, knowing that I am a part of the changing process, especially towards the youth. I just feel bad knowing that I had that against my name, and I just don't know what to do. I always say about the Mercy Committee, and that was it. I just don't know what to do to get this off of my name, because as I say, I could get many jobs. I could do a lot of things, and it's just that holding me back from my breaking point then. Like holding me back from my breakthrough, I should say then.
No, you found a job recently as scarecrow at a bar. No, I call it
scarecrow.
yeah. I mean, you can't stop a robbery, Daniel.
No.
Unless you get kung fu training while you were in prison.
I could only help myself.
Exactly. So, and this is something I think the state should start looking into, these establishments who hire
Security
people.
companies.
And and they make them vulnerable because you don't have a firearm.
Nope.
So, excuse me. So when people come to rob the place, you just show them a mean face and expect them to
go back.
No, you putting your life in danger. Now, how is that going though?
Well, it's a stressful thing, one, because the hours is some dread hours. That is nighttime when everybody in the bed sleeping, you outside by a front door, right? And basically you're just searching people for weapons and firearm or whatever the case may be. Mind you, me, I am not no security or no police, I should say, to be doing all in that, but it's just the job that what given me an avenue for income then.
Right.
So that is the only reason why I'm there. But it's not a good thing for me, I should say, because one, I risking my life. Sometimes when you're searching these guys and them, there's a lot of resistance. There's you can't search me, I is this and I is that. And as a starter, I let them know, well, go ahead, because I know the owner of the bar.
Right.
I protected me. I let them know, go ahead. Right? A lot of them, there's one that threaten you if you don't want, like if I search a man and I find a knife, you will threaten me and say, hey, after boy. And sometimes I does not take them on because I know it's only alcohol in there. But sometimes I take it serious because a previous officer got something, well, not stab or anything, but a man pull a knife him after he finished work on him. So as a starter, I just lead them. As I said, the only reason why I'm there is because that is the only avenue I work right now. But it is just a dangerous job posing as a security or moonlighting anything out there.
Posing as a security.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's not only is it a risk to you physically, but also in terms of the steadiness and the reliability of the employment itself, in terms of you getting paid on time and those kinds of things.
That is our next serious thing. Well, this morning I had an encounter. Last night into this morning.
The hours you work yesterday from what time to what time?
From 6:30 p.m. yesterday I went there. They called me out to work, and I left there this morning around 7 minutes to 7.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the rate they're paying you?
$300
for that
for a shift?
For that time. And it's supposed to be more, because even if I working for $20 or how much ever is the minimum wage, $20.50, it's still not adding up.
So from 6 p.m. to this morning 7:30.
Yeah, I was there.
And you didn't get no.
They told me the bar didn't make enough money, so I had to come back tomorrow for my money. I told them that would be the last time they will call me for work there. I'm not coming back.
So who hired your security? A security company or the bar itself?
The bar itself. They hired like a private person who does security in other establishment, and he's the one who called me to work there then.
Wow. And you have to keep your eyes open from 6
all night. And the only time I could move is just to go and use the washroom. So and the only thing I get to drink is water. And I himself a sweet drink or soft drink, nothing to. So if you didn't went to work with no money, which I didn't, because I was expecting my money after I finished work.
Right.
So I would have buy stuff to go home with. And I went there empty-handed, and I had to battle it through all those hours.
Not even a break? for half an hour self.
The only break is when the bar closes and you get to leave.
And it's you alone? No, there's no one else working that shift
two
with
of
you?
us, and well, both of us can't move because one inside, one outside.
Oh, Lord.
No, that.
And what frustrates me this morning is that when the bar closed and I ready to go home, I asked about my money. They told me they didn't make enough money, or they didn't make any money, so I had to come back tomorrow for my money. I was like, wow.
So do you think that if the owners of the bar or the owner of the security company saw your police record, you think they would think anything of it?
No, I think as soon as they find out, I will be terminated from there again. Because the person who hired me is a police officer, and he asked for what does call it? He asked for a receipt then, because I told him they say I had to come back and for 3 months or something time for the thing itself.
Yeah.
So I gave him the receipt, and they does normally do the check.
They check something. He's a police officer.
What? If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. And we are speaking with Daniel.
I mean,
how do we see our citizens, boy? How do we see each other in Trinidad and Tobago? You know, you all know my story. You all know where I came from and the people I encountered on my journey here after 24 years of doing this program. And I keep that question always pop up in my head. When we see each other, how do we feel about each other? And what plans do we have for each other? Is it to hurt or to help heal? This is the question I keep asking myself. Now listen to this young man and tell me, you will make a young man sit in your establishment. That is why we so broke. Because we wouldn't do people that, Natasha.
No.
And how many times we count pennies to go in the bank while we pay other people?
Correct.
How you could do that?
It's unconscionable, really.
How? What kind
After
of
working for 12 hours,
yeah,
you will send a man home with nothing.
And do feel nowhere and go and sleep comfortable and probably pass and pick up food before you go home.
Correct.
For your family. How could you do that, citizen?
But Daniel, before we go to the break, I wanted to ask, while you were incarcerated, did you have an opportunity to acquire any skills that would stand you in good stead for your release?
Well, yes, I acquired a lot of skills while in YTC because, as I say, I enrolled myself in a lot of programs. I did barbering, I did landscaping, which is my number one skill here. I don't play with that. I also did a lot of handicraft like crocheting, knitting, tailoring.
Okay.
Yeah, I do them programs and I got passes in them. Electrical, plumbing, level 1. House insulation, plumbing wise too. Yeah, I did all those stuff, but my main thing that I love to do is landscaping.
Landscaping?
Yeah.
Let's go to a break. And when we return, we'll let you into how pardons work in Trinidad and Tobago comparison with the United Kingdom system. Because we adopted the Westminster system, right? So let's go to that break. And again, this is to help everyone in Trinidad and Tobago, regardless. Because you never know what tomorrow brings. Unless you have God's phone number and know that your child will not need a pardon, then this concerns you. It should concern you as well. And our workforce. And you know how many people going to apply for visas, but they wouldn't get it because of a dirty police certificate of good character.
Yep.
Let's extend our minds this morning. All we're asking you to do is think. We go to a break, we'll return in a moment.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that locked up in the UK
for drug trafficking. Oh yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, alright. Don't drop the soap. Carry out.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM.
Organised crime is fueling the global drug trade, devastating lives and communities. This illicit industry is deeply intertwined with human trafficking, illegal mining, and environmental destruction, creating a vicious cycle that traps entire populations in poverty, violence, and fear. But we can break that cycle. Together, we can protect lives, restore communities, and build a safer future. To do that, we must stop organised crime at its roots. That means tackling record cocaine production that's driving violence, with markets expanding worldwide, confronting the surge in methamphetamine production and trafficking in Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle, and addressing the deadly rise in opioid overdoses that are overwhelming already fragile health systems. This World Drug Day, we stand for innovation, cooperation, and sustained investment in justice, education, health, and opportunity. Together, we can break the cycle and stop organised crime.
Join us this Sunday, the 6th of July, for episode 27 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
This Sunday on Eye on Dependency, we're looking at second chances and why so many people with convictions can't get them. Daniel will be back in studio to share what happens when a record follows you everywhere.
Everybody who went in YPC and did 3 years and more have that on their record.
Even years later, finding permanent work is a struggle.
Most of the job I ever got was basically security.
He'll be sharing openly about what that feels like and why the promise of rehabilitation can fall short in practice. We'll talk about pardons, expungements, and what needs to change so people can truly rebuild. Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. The Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of Homeland Security, brings you Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We are talking about pardons and restoration with Daniel in studio with us this morning. And we wanted to share some information with you about how the system of pardons and restorations works in Trinidad and Tobago, how it works in the UK, and why it matters, why everyone deserves a second chance, why we need clearer laws and policy on this issue. So every year, people leave prison determined to start over. They have served their time, they have paid their debt, and they want to contribute to society, just like Daniel here and many others. But for many, a conviction sticks to them like a permanent label, even for minor offenses or things that they did as teenagers. What is the problem? In Trinidad and Tobago, there is no automatic way for most convictions to become spent or discharged or cleaned. Even if you stay out of trouble for years, you still have to disclose your record for almost every job. Getting a presidential pardon, which we will show you in a short while, is a very slow and uncertain process, and Garth will explain how he managed to get his in relatively quick time.
It wasn't quick time.
It wasn't?
Actually, I had the application, someone told me, drop it by me, of course, Mr. Sinclair, we'll help you sort it out, and it stayed there for a year. And I had to take it from there and take it to under the direction of Eddie Hart, I think he directed me just a lady. I cannot remember this lady's name for the life of me.
A lawyer or justice of the
No,
peace?
she was working at the ministry at the time. She worked at the ministry at the time. And she was so gracious. And I remember when I was hired by CCC, they were telling me, well, by Anthony Philip Spencer, Major General Anthony Philip Spencer, and he, I hope I got his rank right, yes, Lord. But he said, you know what, God has a lot to offer. Let's bring him at CCC. It's after I got to let them know. And I remember after a year, Mr. Celestine came to me and said, hey, you know, you cannot work for the state if you have a conviction.
Right.
So we may have to let you go. As God would have it, the next day I got the call from the lady, your pardon is ready. Serious, yeah. But it took a while for this person to move the document as was promised.
Oh, you're lucky, really lucky to find her.
Yeah,
because
that lady, wherever you are, if she's still alive, God bless you, my sweetheart. God bless you, my dear, because now, and I'll show them the pardon in a while, which was signed by deceased
Maxwell Richards.
Yeah.
And the final issue in terms of the problem that we need to address, many people give up trying to clear their names because it feels very impossible to do. And that is the situation that Daniel is in right now. And this leaves thousands of persons shut out of work, education, and housing, and in essence locked out of the very opportunities that help prevent reoffending. If the objective is to not have that revolving door, this recidivism that we talk about, when persons leave prison and have no prospect of reestablishing themselves in society by getting decent work, by finding housing, by exposing themselves to educational opportunities. If they can't do any of those three things because of their record, it will increase their chances of reoffending and ending up right back in prison. So this is why it is so important for us to address this. In other countries, in the UK, for example, and we have some knowledge of this because of our work with the Prison Radio Association and PRI, and the fact that they are working with persons who, and in a system where even if you're in prison, once you're released, well, I'll explain. In the UK, most convictions automatically become spent after a set time, and this is enshrined in law. So if you have a minor conviction, your conviction is spent after 1 to 2 years, automatically wiped from your record. If you have done a short prison sentence, your conviction is spent after 2 to 4 years. There is no need to apply to anybody. You don't have to ask for any special favors, just a clear rule. If you stay out of trouble, you get a fresh start. And you just, after this time is spent, and also I have to add here that in the UK, they have a very robust system of parole, community service, so that people aren't just released from prison into the community without certain aftercare practices put in place in the community that they reside in. So there's a lot of support for persons when they're leaving prison in the UK, which makes this law easy to access for people who have a minor conviction or a short prison sentence, to know that after I have spent 2 to 4 years in the community rebuilding my life, I can move on because my conviction will be spent.
You know, Sikapin, thinking about this, I'm wondering if Vision and Mission, I know they help with their people get a lot of documents like birth certificate and ID cards and all of these things.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if they are
assist with
allowed
that too.
assist with people getting presidential pardons, because an important institution such as this, they have a clientele too that will leave them with convictions as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
And so why does it matter what other countries do? again, when people can work and build stable lives, everyone benefits. Not just the individual, not just his or her family, not just the community, but the country. It reduces crime and cuts reoffending, as I mentioned earlier. And it shows that the country believes in rehabilitation and not lifelong punishment. Because we see, prison, yes, is a punishment, but why should you continue to be punished once you have left? Systems like these show that people can change if given the opportunity and the resources and the support to do so. So we are calling for the change that that is required, which would include clear time frames so that Yes, clear time frames so convictions can become spent automatically after rehabilitation, an easier process for expungement of old or minor convictions, and especially when they involve juveniles, in this case, and others, and faster decisions on pardons and fairer access to everyone. You shouldn't have to, go to a specific person to get your issue dealt with. God was lucky in that regard that he was introduced to this individual, but everyone should have the same level of access to whatever service is being offered by the state to get a presidential pardon.
Agreed 100%. It's unfortunate, and I know Minister Surge, and I want to believe it's either him or even justice, but I hope that they will put some fire under this mercy committee and force them if they have to, because I'll share the thoughts of Justice Nadia Kangaloo.
Yes.
And how she feels about this. This is
well. While you're reading that, can you put up image G Shortman, which is God's presidential pardon, while he's
Yes.
reading this article.
So you will see what a presidential pardon look like.
Yes.
That's it there, back and front, what it looks like when you apply for it.
Yep.
You have to go to the Ministry of Homeland Security, ask for a form for presidential pardon, and they will give you that, and it requires certain, like 3 referees and recommendations.
I have the list here I could read out when you're ready.
So this article was written by Jada Lautu from the Newsday. Judge slams delay by Mercy Committee and prisons. Monday, 17 July 2023. Listen to the date. Justice Nadia Kangaloo. 6 condemned prisoners whose applications before the Mercy Committee were left languishing for more than half a decade after their death sentences were commuted will finally be resentenced by a criminal court. The order was made on Friday by Justice Nadia Kangaloo, who was critical of the delay by the authorities to treat the cases of Edmund Beckles, Elvis Penny, Joseph Walcott, Ronald Tiwari, Ronald Lee, Glenroy Francis, and Clive Smart. In referring their cases to the criminal judges, Kangaloo said their decision were informed by the realities of crime and the punishment in Trinidad and Tobago. It is not a disgrace that I cannot say the same for the Prison Service and the Mercy Committee. This is according to Justice Kangaloo. Attorneys for the 6 had filed a constitutional claim which complained of the Mercy Committee's delay in complying with orders from the Court of Appeal and Privy Council, which had commuted the death sentences. Their cases were sent to the Mercy Committee for consideration. The 6 filed a constitutional claim when they heard nothing from the committee on any hearing to make their case for release. They also complained of the Prison Service's failure to review their incarceration and make reports. It is now some 27 years since the date of the original violations for each of the applicants. 6 years since the declaration of the violation by the Court of Appeal, and 3 years since the endorsement of those orders by the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. In her ruling on Friday, Kangaloo said, as a constitutional court, she was left to consider if it should be a catalyst for change and remedial innovator. In assessing the complaints of the 6, she said in addition to delay, there were the inaction of both the Mercy Committee and the prison, and, in some instances, complete non-response or lack of engagement with the prisoners. Taking up the mantle of judicial activism, the judge addressed what she called the egregious circumstances in which the arms of the state found themselves. This court is of the view that the unacceptable delay and or refusal or ignorance of the declarations and the orders that have been made from courts from top to bottom of this jurisdiction were death knell for a constitutional democracy in this jurisdiction. While acknowledging the crimes for which the 6 were convicted, she said, however, to imprison someone without any prospect of ever being released may be a punishment which is cruel and unusual, and accordingly a breach of Section 5(2)(b) of the Constitution. She said, any sentence other than death must offer some form of possibility of release, and there must be a review system in place, and there were processes in place. However, she said, these statements and processes were not worth the paper they are written on, given what took place in this case. We have processes, we have reviews, we have communication. What do we have? What do we have? Sorry, excuse me. What do we have not opportunities for claimants to be heard, both pre and post communication, with regard to what ought to be in the current and contemporary circumstances of their detention and appropriate sentence. These claimants have been left in limbo. These claimants remain in uncertainty. Justice Kangaloo said, even with the removal of the death sentence, given the delays, the men were still subjected to cruel and unusual punishment because of the delay. This court finds that there is no distinction between those two scenarios to remain post-communication, with all avenues of ascertaining the length of your sentence robs the claimant of the opportunity to rehabilitate themselves, to improve themselves, to work towards rehabilitation. She said as far as the court was concerned, the 6 remained before the Prison and Mercy Committee as faceless beings, whose identities as individual human beings were ignored, and they were deprived of a voice and locked behind a door with the key thrown away. Any residual dignity that may have resided with these claimants surely be at risk of evaporating, she said. Justice Kangaloo also asked, how can it not be pellucid that recidivism will remain the legacy of our prison service rather than rehabilitation? The authorities have refused to subject themselves to discipline of our Constitution, and they have chosen to remain in ignorance of this. They are fiddled while the hopes of men burn. In granting the declaration, the 6 sought, the judge also refused to send their matters back to the Mercy Committee, saying that it would be a defective remedy for the court to order.
Yes.
The court will never make an order in vain. She also ordered the state to pay the men costs. Of course, they were represented by Douglas Mendez, SC, Rajiv Prasad, SC, Vanita Ramrup, Larry Boyer, Ajes Sumisa, sorry, I hope I got that right, Peter Carter, and Diana Marie Smith. Representing the state were Fayed Hussein, SC, Rishidas, SC, Svetlana. Svetlana.
Yeah.
Okay. Svetlana. First time I've heard that name.
It's a Russian name.
Yes. Svetlana Dask, Adana Hosang, Vincent Jardine, Tiffany Kissoon, and Fazina Ali. You heard it, folks. Coming from a learned judge. Justice.
Who
Where's
didn't
the
even
justice?
want to send anything back to the music committee because she understood
Yes.
that it was a waste of time.
Exercise in futility. So again, to the gentleman who called and bemoaned this and spoke to us from his heart, I apologize to you for giving you false information that was fed to me while we were on the air, because I had to go outside and take the call. It was false. And this article was written in 2023. So we and I could imagine how long before that people were still languishing.
Yes.
And then how you feel about hearing this?
Good.
Go back up the presidential pardon, please, Hinkson.
Knowing that they done already spend so much time in prison, and these men done languish in prison, as we say, turned so old in prison, and they're not coming out to do anything. So why take so long and all? And this is my thing and all. I didn't himself know that presidential pardon still exists in Trinidad until we spoke, Mr. God. I did not know that because I thought I was just something in a long time. I didn't himself hear about these things. And one of the things I want to propose is that persons who doing time in prison, a prison at the pre-release program, they do himself tell us nothing about pardon or when you come out, you can clean your record, what is the process, nothing like that. So it's when we leave, once you really want change, you either put your head in a bubble and fight it, or try your best to find out what to do or how to do it.
And that's an important part of the issue too. That should start from any prison by the welfare department.
Correct.
So
correct.
We have some work to do. So folks, this is what a presidential pardon looks like. Natasha, could you read what is required?
Yes. For applicants should submit the following documents to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Homeland Security, Port of Spain. A written application stating the reason for which the certificate is required. That's 1. 2. A birth certificate with supporting affidavit where necessary. 3. A marriage certificate where applicable. 4. A police certificate of character, recent. 5. An affidavit outlining the circumstances under which the offences was or were committed. 6. 2 testimonials from either a minister of religion, a member of parliament, a doctor, lawyer, or senior civil servant. 7. A recent passport size photograph, duly certified by one of the recommenders. 8. The names and addresses of 2 referees who are responsible persons to whom you are well known and not related. 9. Notes of evidence of the offence or offences, not the extract from the magistrate's casebook. So notes of evidence of the offences. And 10. A passport. This is applicable to non-nationals to prove that the applicant is legally in the country. 6 copies of each of these documents.
Right. Now, we talked about mitigating circumstances. Once you get Daniel's case in front of you, because when I had to apply for the pardon, I had to state why I deserve a pardon.
Yes.
So I had to sit and write, why I think I deserve this pardon. Fortunately for me, we had started an dependency. So I had that. Then I got some people to write, like Father Stout, and to write.
You recommend it. The testimonials.
Brigadier General Carl Alfonso, and some I got 3. And Daily Knuckle, one of the referees, I submitted his number, and I mean, this was so long ago, but I had to state why I needed the pardon. Now, in Daniel's case, Daniel had an open and shut case. Daniel was born in the hospital, and his mother left him there, and she. Could you tell the people? I don't want to.
She abandoned me after birth, and from there I was transferred to a home, spent about 13, 14 years of my life, and then from there ran away, ended up in YTC, and from YTC came out and went back in about some months after for a stolen phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And during that time, running away, you were stabbed?
Stabbed, shot, kidnapped, homeless, chopped, yeah.
Right. Now, of course, when you are applying for the pardon, you will have to put all this down.
I believe so because
Yeah,
it's
you would
what
have
is
to.
what is I've been through, and this is the reason why. Yeah.
Now you've turned your life around, and you would like now
to do better
be an
because
asset to the state.
Yep, because I know what I've been through, as I said, and I know that a lot of youths going straight, and this is why I want my partner in a way too, because I know what I could give back just by doing my TikTok, just by talking to the youths. I want to start to be involved in that, and the partner is one of the big things that holding me back right now.
Let's speak to that for a minute. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have an issue, people. Let's face it, we have an issue of being judgmental. Even people who are put in position are judgmental as well. It will take up 2 programs for me to tell you all on my journey to this point in my life, the people that I've met. You see, there's not a blueprint. You see, like in the UK, there is, no matter who sits in the chair, no matter who you meet, every 1 to 2 years, this is what happens, regardless. Not in Trinidad and Tobago. It's who you meet.
You always have to be beholden to some bureaucrat.
Who you meet, who likes you or who don't like you. I've heard things behind my back, said behind my back. People don't know I heard about it. When they meet me, they pretend that they support what I'm doing, and I pretend I believe them. And I just was living like that. It depends on who you meet.
But Garth, in your case, what prompted you to apply for the pardon first of all, and how long after your release from prison did you apply?
What prompted me? No, the pardon is on the screen, folks. If you have using a phone, you can screenshot it. That way you can enlarge it what your free time to see what it looks like and what it says. Now, at one point in time, there was a ministry run by Mr. Eddie Hart on Frederick Street. I think that was community
development. Yeah.
Mr. Ifebo Wilkinson worked at that office as well.
Yeah.
And of course, when I left prison, there was no direct Vigilant Mission wasn't around then either.
Right.
So
this was 1991. Right.
There was no from the prison say, but okay, when you leave here, the prison just give me a I think was at the land 50 cents or something. No, sorry, $6.
What?
And
to do what?
Well, that is for the time I spent, my 6 months I spent, and you don't get. That's another story.
Oh Jesus! Sorry.
But yeah, and I walked out on Frederick Street.
Well, maybe back in those days they could have carried you home, but
I walked out on Frederick Street, and thankfully, Rachel and Patrick Valadere from the gym at Val Park came and picked me up. I was fortunate to have someone because my mother was concerned what I was going to do when I left prison.
Yeah.
So Rachel and Patrick came and they picked me up. They got an apartment for me in Valsayn and Valsayn North, and I worked at the gym at Val Park for a while. And that's where I started. In the meantime, now realizing that I wanted to sing with this band and Song Rev and it's doing so well, then I realized I needed to have a clean police certificate, a good character to travel. So in visiting, Mr. Eddie Hart said you should apply for a presidential pardon. And that is where it started.
Okay.
Right? That was in 92. And that is when it started. I tried my best to get the information. They said go to the Protective Services Division, National Security, and I got the form, and I started the journey from there. Got some powerful recommendations and submitted it. And the lady took it over after it sat for a whole year and something in an office, and she took it over and she said she will work on it for me, and she, because she knew when the Mercy Committee, and that time the Mercy Committee sat regularly. We don't know what changed, but thankfully I got the pardon in time so that I could have stayed on at the Conservation
CCC.
Corps, you know.
And this was on the 31st day of December 2004 was when it was granted.
Right. So, and I started with CCC in 2003. So, it was, and I mean, I thank, Anthony Philip Spencer for giving me that break, and then later on, Archie Phillip, Major General Archie Phillip, they all believed that, and this is what I'm saying, that, and then Cheryl Richardson took over, and they all believed in me, and I was happy for that. despite the way I left the military, these service personnel still saw, because as Anthony Philip Spencer said, God Sinclair has something to offer to the youth of this country, let's bring him on. And that is where my journey started. Now in Daniel's case here, I am still hoping that I can be allowed to speak with someone, that we can put a team together. Our schools need us right now. Our youngsters need us right now. And I am hoping that the Ministry of Education would look past what we did and let us loose in these schools. Because there's no point in having this medicine and there is no way to administer it. We have the medicine. And I want to say to public officials, we don't expect you all, you know what they say, it's the government fault and the government this and the government that. This is why we have NGOs. And we have soldiers on the ground. We are your soldiers. We don't expect you to get your hands dirty. But if we have soldiers who are willing to go to battle for you, then allow us to go to battle for you. I have begged for that for the last 9 years. And for some reason, there is, like I said, it's who you meet, right?
Yeah.
So one person decided, okay, yes, we let you go on the defense force. And it happened. Everybody in the defense force said, hey, this is good. It needs to continue. Try as I may. And the thing is, nobody wants to dialogue. You will write, you will send emails, you will do it. Natasha, you my witness.
Yes, I know.
And we say poverty is no excuse for crime. But how often should a man go to bed hungry before deciding to take matters into his own hands, knowing that he could fish? He's not asking for a fish. I never applied for a food card. I never applied for unemployment. Nothing. I could work. I'm strong. You understand? You ever applied for a food card?
Never. People telling me to do it and I still tell them I am capable of working. I want a job. I want to clean my record and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I have had several meetings. You're my witness. We had one right at this radio station here.
Yes, not too long ago too.
Yes. And beg. And I'm saying, why would you, knowing a man has a knowledge of weapons, I came from the street, I know I could go and get cocaine on consignment. Because some of the guys, they're still around. There are those who stopped selling cocaine and all of that, but they could direct me to who I could get from. I decided not to do that. Why would you not encourage a citizen like that? Why would you keep that citizen in limbo?
Maybe because they want you to fail, girl. They want you to
believe this.
They want you to
See the part
reoffend.
where you say and all, we are men on the ground. I believe that 100% because I just talk to some youths and them who that be playing football up by me in the road, and them tell me, boy, we reasoning. They just call it reasoning. We reason with you more better than the older folks them because them telling me, boy, you know what you're saying. Remember, we went through certain stuff. I've been to prison. I've been homeless. I've been shot. I know the life. So when I start to rap with them youth men and them must tell me, boy, we had to start to change some things, but them start to change the little company, the line, we just start to do the things different. Because them youths rather we persons, as I say, grown men, than the person so up there who's saying they went through stuff and they didn't went through nothing. They didn't have an idea what it is to be hungry for a couple of days, locked away, homeless, them kind of stuff. So the youths I feel in Trinidad, they really need persons like us to try and transform that mindset of the youth, because I say they see them fighting on the road, they see them doing all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And as I say, they need grown men. They need persons who went through it.
Of course, they respect us more.
Yeah. True.
I mean, when I have the opportunity to elected to the military or any arm of the protective service, I speak the language, so they understand. But they have them eaten out of my hand, and folks, we have the receipts for this. You know? When I finished do a lecture, we would pass around, we would hand out what we call evaluation forms. I would tell the participants, do not put your name, just say what you really believe about this lecture you just got. 3 hours. And everybody says the same thing, from private soldier all the way up to officer, because I had a chance to speak to some officers in the officers' mess. You see when the arms of the protective service and prisoners say you're good, you're good. Why we are being wasted, I don't know. But thank God for this forum. At least this is a privilege. It's not a right, but at least, and this is what keeps me going, because And this is why I preach to servicemen out there. Stop messing up your career because you are going to end up as a literal beggar. And not everybody will take your call after a while because now your wife is being left alone to handle the house. And you become another burden and another mouth to feed and you're not working. And why you won't work? Because where you worked before, you would get a dishonorable discharge and people will find it hard to hire you except for the security firms who hire people like Daniel and pay you below minimum wage and give you long
and exploit
hours.
you.
And
Next
exploit
thing
you.
you get the money the same day all kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like this what we
No, as a soldier, and this is why I never went to work for no security firm, you know. Because I already established myself for a number of reasons. But for one, I established myself on this journey of rehabilitation and trying to restore others. And on the other hand, in the military, when we're doing guard, it's 2 hours on, 4 hours off. I get accustomed to that. I spoil. I am not going to do no straight 8 or straight 10 for nobody.
12 hours. Try 12.
You
Standing for
understand?
12 hours.
I'm not for doing it.
well after.
Because they're evil. We've seen it already.
That's really, really
Exactly. It's 2 hours on, you're proud.
exploitative.
You have 4 hours off. You come back and you're proud, 2 hours on, 4 hours off. I was accustomed to that. That is why I go with 4 hours sleep up to this day. But we have to start, we are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, folks. And regardless of what race, color, creed, we are still citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And if we can look out for each other in this regard, I implore you, I beg you, please give us a chance to live again and live like human beings again and not having to depend on the good graces of friends and family to survive. It is a burden on them now. Okay? This is all we're asking.
Now, we have some comments from our Facebook audience, and I want to put them to Daniel. First of all, my first question would be, would you be willing to go through this process of applying for a pardon?
Of course, I was going to tell Mr. Agar to send me the information after the show.
Right. I just said it to him so he could send it for you. Two, in terms of your employment, where do you think you can be self-employed? And where do you think you can acquire the capital to get, for instance, if you wanted to do landscaping, to get the equipment?
The self-employed part is a big yes, because I rather work for myself than to work for somebody to have to be going through problems to get my money. I just work hard, I love to work. Right, so that's one of the things I rather have my own thing. And concerning the work-wise, I rather, I would like to do the landscaping maintenance. I don't have my sketch, my things in place.
Okay.
So after I'm trying to work on my pattern, so once I get that clear, I will be able to register a business.
Right.
That's my main thing right now.
Okay.
And the business, as I say, is to do landscaping and maintenance.
Nice. Well, if there's anybody out there who can assist Daniel in that regard, because I said this after the first time Daniel came on this program, I said, everybody is saying, you have to continue to pray and yes, good, it's so sad story, Who is going to help him? Who is going to say, I will give you a job, or I will help you start, I will give you a place to live, I will make a significant contribution to this young man's development? Everybody has the nicest things to say, but to actually put in the work and give the help that is required is a challenge.
Natasha, remember when we were invited to the Joint Select Committee?
Yes.
And they asked to outline what are the challenges of people leaving prison.
Yes.
Nothing came out of that, because I still experienced the same challenge after that.
Correct.
And I even mentioned in that, and maybe they find I was too upright and straightforward, but I mentioned in their names certain names of people who I've met along the way who believe that people could change.
Yeah.
But the challenge is, one thing I realize about Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lack of dialogue.
Yes.
You will just get unanswered everything. And if there are concerns, now there are some people who sit in conference rooms with ministers and PSs, and if they don't find favor with Daniel or don't find favor with me, all they have to say, Minister, I don't think we should engage this person. I think he's still using cocaine, or I think he's still involved. The minister say, okay, fine,
and that's
do not engage. Next. And that is it for you. You never get a chance to defend yourself. Never. Nobody wants to bring you in that same room
and confront you with their accusation.
Yeah. And you know, if you have concerns, well, Mr. Sinclair, we have concerns that so and so, we heard so and so, we like to know so and so, and I will stare you in the eye and answer you. If I choose to lie, then you will know. But give people an opportunity and not let people who want to put obstacles in their way do it.
Correct.
Don't allow it to happen. Give everybody a fair chance so that you can say, well, we give you a fair opportunity and you messed it up.
Yeah.
Give me that opportunity.
I'd rather you say that than you man.
Exactly. It hurts people. It hurts. The first thing, what made me leave Trinidad and Tobago the first time was the same reason. Going from door to door because I want to get work and cannot get it. I remember one time coming back home and ripping my shirt off instead of unbuttoning it because I was so angry at how I was treated. And nobody sees that part of it. And I would like to let people know too that even if you don't like me, or you don't find favor with me, or you don't want to support me, if I have a family, you're hurting them too.
Yes.
You're not hurting me alone.
Correct.
And my family never done you anything. But you decide to hurt me, which in turn, I will go home now and misdirect my anger. This is what causes turmoil in home. And then when a wife gets so fed up or a partner gets so fed up, don't raise your voice in here, no, you ain't bringing no money in here. As a matter of fact, don't eat nothing until them try and eat. That's what you will get as a man. How? When a man reaches to that position, what do you expect him to do? And he wants to get respect at home. Give him that opportunity to get respect. You have the power, I have the will. Let's come together and make it happen. And with Daniel's case, yeah, Daniel could do his landscaping, but I still say that Daniel has, just like I do, we have tools that we can use to help turn this country around.
Lived experience, as they say.
Lived experience. Let me give you this one before we move on, because we have, excuse me, the complications. We have some videos to show you, disposable vapes, and Cush, that epidemic in South Africa, in West Africa, that we hope don't reach here. Right? So,
let's take a break now.
Yeah, let's go to a break. And when we return,
when we come back,
we'll come back with this. You know, I lose my train of thought there.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that locked up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh, yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, all right. Don't drop the soap. Carry on.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM.
Organised crime is fueling the global drug trade, devastating lives and communities. This illicit industry is deeply intertwined with human trafficking, illegal mining, and environmental destruction, creating a vicious cycle that traps entire populations in poverty, violence, and fear. But we can break that cycle. Together, we can protect lives, restore communities, and build a safer future. To do that, we must stop organised crime at its roots. That means tackling record cocaine production that's driving violence, with markets expanding worldwide, confronting the surge in methamphetamine production and trafficking in Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle, and addressing the deadly rise in opioid overdoses that are overwhelming already fragile health systems. This World Drug Day, we stand for innovation, cooperation, and sustained investment in justice, education, health, and opportunity. Together, we can break the cycle and stop organised crime.
Support the Eye on Dependency Curry Q fundraiser by Hot Shop. Just $55 gets you 1 wrap or 2 mini rotis. From 16th June to 30th July. Get your tickets today. Call or message 75663337 to enjoy a delicious Hot Shop roti and support your favorite radio program.
Thank you for staying with us. Remember, folks, we still have the Koikyu tickets. Remember, if you wish, we can bring it here for you, or you can come and meet us here when we're here on a Sunday to purchase yours. Or if you need, please start sending in your orders. We have 200 tickets. We like to get them off our hands, and within a month, you will understand what we do. You'll actually be glad that you supported this. So, and you know, as a matter of fact, the first time we've ever been doing this, and but fundraiser is fundraiser for a reason, and we will let you know the reason afterwards. You will see it in black and white. We're just going to just read nothing for you. We're going to actually show you it. All right? So what I was going to say before we went to the break, if the names Frank Abagnale, Robert Downey Jr., and Sam Jackson, if nothing else I love about America is this: they give their citizens chances. Frank Abagnale, and this is a true life story, known as America's most notorious conman. You can look it up, you can Google it, you know we don't make up stuff here to be called out. Frank Abagnale is his name. There was a movie done about him, Catch Me If You Can, with Tom Hanks. Frank, that was a true story. Frank Abagnale's strong point was check fraud. He ran rings around the FBI. You know who hired him eventually?
The FBI.
Think about that for a moment. That story inspired me, you know. Because I'm thinking this man did both. The man impersonated doctor, lawyer, pilot and check fraud was his mastermind. The FBI didn't know what hit them. And now he's still alive, and he's doing lectures now for even Fortune 500 companies, and one of the highest paid lecturers in the US. They gave him an opportunity. Robert Downey Jr. If Robert Downey Jr. comes to Trinidad to promote the movie Iron Man, every mother and her child will go to Movie Town because the children will want to meet Iron Man and get an autograph and possible selfie with him. Robert Downey Jr. been to prison many times. His drug of choice was cocaine. He was bad. Robert Downey Jr. ended up sleeping in somebody's bed. A total stranger. He just walked in a yard and went to the bedroom and lied down on the woman's bed. When she come home, she saw this man sleeping in her bed. She called the cops. It was Robert Downey Jr. Then the judge had no other choice but to send him to prison a couple times. Look at Robert Downey Jr. today. Tim Allen, another cocaine abuser. Samuel L. Jackson, another crack cocaine abuser. Look at Samuel today. Now, if he was judged by his society, if they were judged by their society, would they be megastars today? No. I don't want to be a megastar. I sure Daniel don't want to be a megastar. We just want to live, and we want to share what we've learned in the trenches. That's all we want to do. And I've been begging for that over and over. I love to do lectures. Love it. Because giving back to people what I have learned, and there are prison officers who meet me to this day. Retired, some of them, and tell me, Mr. Sinclair, you see what you told us? I took that to heart, and now I've retired gracefully.
And I think people discount the impact of someone's lived experience, because I can say definitely for me, while I was in secondary school, and we had now deceased Vic. Who was that? Vic.
Yes, Vic. Yes.
Can't remember his last name, but he came to give a talk in our school. I think I would have been about 14 or 15, and he spoke about his experience using crack cocaine. And I never wanted to touch that drug after I heard these stories this man told. You can never discount the impact of somebody's life story and experience. What it can do for you, how it can inspire you, how it can deter you from taking a certain path. And we prioritize people's educational qualifications over their lived experience for some reason. I mean, yes, education is very important. People spend a lot of money and a lot of brain power and time and energy into getting your degrees, but there's equal value.
Got our degree. We have our degree too.
From the School of Hard Knocks.
From the School of Hard Knocks.
Yep.
We've had it. I don't wear it proudly, but I don't know. Me and God have to have a conversation because in my next life I'm not doing this. I'm telling you. He and I had to talk because no, I'm serious. Because this was too hard. This is too hard to know that you mean well for your country. We're sorry. We apologize. We made amends. We've done everything possible, and yet still we can't move the mountain.
I find I should have a quicker way and all for persons, especially in my case, because my crime, I per se, is not no big crime.
It was
One was non-violent, yeah. So I find it real hard for somebody like me who want to change, who willing to change, who willing to make that extra step, and so long it has had to take for this one little hinder, and it's a big one too. Eh? One little problem cause a big problem.
Yep.
This little thing called pardon is just stressful and frustrating. And I hope after the show something happen concerning the committee, whoever they are or was, that they ignite themselves back up, because it's persons like me and like I just joined a reference time. The last guy had on his show, Douglas. That is our next one, Romel, the guy who for the Calypso, our next one. We are good people. We want change. We want to show that we didn't spend time, but I guess we did what we did. We asked for forgiveness. We get out. We asked for remorse or whatever it is, whatever crime they did. And now that we want to change, we want to do good, this is the stumbling blocks we just had to face. Just to get a job and how to survive.
Yep.
It's hard because when an employer employ you, after you give them the receipt and they do their background check and they find out that you was in prison for so long, all the jobs I ever faced, so I was terminated. They didn't fire me outright, but they terminate me. They told me they can't work with them no more, etc., etc. And that was it, bringing uniform and pay off, and that was it.
Yeah, and that keeps following us, and that too what prompted me to start an Dependency, because what is the point in not being forgiven when I have forgiven myself? I didn't mean to do. I walked right into a trap, and Daniel was telling us now. You're seeing youngsters in nightclubs now snorting cocaine.
Jeez, yeah, it's true.
Snorting cocaine, people.
I didn't know it was cocaine until last night. Because last night was not the only night. I worked there about 3 times before, but last night I was seeing it all the time, and last night is when I found out it was cocaine. They come at the nickel bag, the traitor, and I see them pulling this thing through the nostrils.
Tell me this thing.
I saying to myself, look at these youth men and them now, boy. They're looking like young like me, and maybe younger. Some of them is 17 years coming to the bar to tell them, hey, you cannot come in here.
And the bar owner allowing them to come in.
Of course.
I just tell them they cannot come in, and there's big blue vex. But you're seeing little children in the face, 17 years, 14-year-old.
Yeah.
14-year-old I just been encountered.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's do a live experiment. Natasha, go to Google for me, please. I want you all to hear this, and I want you all to tell your youngsters this. Remember the U.S. Embassy just announced that they need your social media
to travel.
No, they need to expose your social media to them for you to obtain a visa now, right? Sometimes you could hide what you want. Natasha just came up. Listen to this, right? Natasha is going to ask Google about Garth Sinclair. She's going to hold the phone to the microphone, her phone to the microphone, so that you can hear. It's loud enough that you can hear, right? And here is what Google had to say about me.
Okay, Google.
I want you all to listen to this. Please hold.
Tell me about Garth Sinclair from Trinidad and Tobago.
Scott Sinclair is an English professional footballer who was born in Bath, England.
No.
Get the name wrong.
Hold on.
Listen, I want you all to hear how once your name gets into an article, you are now exposed to the world.
Correct.
So all you youngsters who kick in and beating people online and showing that you could smoke the best weed online and cussing and carrying on and walking with cutlass in your hand and all, they're going to find you. Listen to this again. Try and get the name right for the people.
Tell me about Garth St. Clair from Trinidad and Tobago.
Garth St. Clair is a radio host, multidisciplinary artist, and producer from Trinidad and Tobago. He is known for his work with Eye on Dependency, a registered NGO that focuses on drug abuse and related issues. St. Clair co-hosts a radio program for Eye on Dependency, which airs on I-95.5 FM and is also available on Facebook and YouTube. He is also a former drug addict and ex-convict who has reformed his life and uses his personal experiences to motivate others, particularly young people, to make positive choices. He lectures on the power of the mind and the ability to change thought patterns, sharing his battle with drug addiction and emphasizing the importance of self-respect and resisting peer pressure. St. Clair co-produced the award-winning film Trafficked, which sheds light on the dangers of drug and human trafficking. This film, based on true events, is used as a teaching tool to raise awareness about these issues throughout the Caribbean. Producers Garth St. Clair and Natasha Nunez Street. Claire of Trafficked. This video features Garth St. Clair discussing his work as a producer for the film Trafficked.
Okay. You all hear that? You all hear that, right?
That was
Good.
courtesy of Google's Gemini.
Thank you.
AI.
So, feel you all could do the nonsense you're doing and get away with it. You're not getting away any longer. This is not like a long time. I cannot even find the newspaper article when I was arrested and sent to prison. I knew it was print. Somebody found it at the Express and said, but I lost it. But that was long ago. Now you have ChatGPT, you have Google, and you hear how when Natasha played that for me, my jaw was on the floor. My jaw was on the floor.
You're a public figure, girl.
So this is what I'm trying to tell people: you commit a crime, especially servicemen. Once your name end up in the newspaper, that's it for you. It's all over. Seen last night a police officer, again for the high jump. As young brother would say, what are you doing? What are you all doing? Come on, this is,
Good one, God.
Come on, what are you all doing?
What are you doing?
Just throwing away your career. I wish I could reborn to more. Please, God, take me, please, and carry me back to Tetron. I go in back to Tetron and start over. I miss that place so much. You know, every time I see a parade, every time people only sending me changing at the guard and all kind of thing, and I imagine you driving and listening to changing at the guard music. I damaged bad because I missed the military. That is what I wanted to do for Trinidad and Tobago, and I messed it up. You all don't mess it up now, please. Let's go. Should we go to the things now? Complications,
yes, of course.
From recreation cannabis.
Yes, this is an interesting one. This is from a physician who's talking about some of the complications that that he has seen in emergency rooms in the U.S. That's video A.
Carlson White, blessed.
Started it.
Okay, so I'm not here to tell people whether they should or shouldn't use it. Your life. Here are 3 common neurological complications that we see in the hospital from recreational marijuana use. Just to be clear, I'm not here to tell people whether they should or shouldn't use it. Your life, your choices. Keep in mind, just because we see these doesn't mean everyone who uses develops these symptoms. Number 1 is cannabis-induced psychosis. High-potency THC, like in vapes or edibles, can trigger paranoia, hallucinations, or full-blown delusions, even in people who've used before without issues. I've seen patients come in convinced someone's trying to kill them or that their family members aren't who they say they are. And this isn't just a bad trip. In some cases, it's the beginning of something more serious like schizophrenia, especially if there's a family history. Number 2 is cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. Chronic users can end up with non-stop vomiting, sometimes for days. And here's where it gets neurological. Repeated vomiting causes electrolyte imbalances, especially low sodium, which can trigger seizures, confusion, or even coma. It can also deplete thiamine, especially if someone isn't eating well to begin with, putting them at risk risk for what's called Wernicke's encephalopathy, which is a brain condition that can cause confusion, eye movement problems, and difficulty walking. I've seen this get misdiagnosed as just being high when it's actually a medical emergency. Number 3 is stroke. This isn't very common, but I have seen THC triggering what we call RCVS, where the arteries in the brain suddenly tighten up and restrict blood flow. It often starts with a thunderclap headache, like the worst headache of your life, and can lead to stroke or brain hemorrhage if not caught early. If you use marijuana and experience any of these symptoms, don't assume it couldn't be related, and always tell your doctor upfront. Most of us are not here to judge, and we just want to get to the correct diagnosis and treatment as quickly as possible. Here are 3 common neurological complications that we see in the hospital from recreational marijuana use. Just to be clear, I'm not here to tell people whether they should or shouldn't use it. Your life, your choices. Keep in mind, just because we see these doesn't mean everyone who uses develops these symptoms. Number 1 is cannabis-induced psychosis. High-potency THC, like in vapes or edibles, can trigger paranoia, hallucinations, or full-blown delusions, even in people who've used before without issues. I've seen patients come in convinced someone's trying to kill them or that their family members aren't who they say they are. And this isn't just a bad trip. In some cases, it's the beginning of
Video
something
B, which
more serious,
speaks
like
about disposable
schizophrenia,
vapes,
especially.
And how toxic they are. Now, sometime earlier this year or last year, some public officials said there was no research on vape and how dangerous they are.
Supposed to pull that clip. Don't worry, we have time. But I witnessed that very recently in a quick shop in a gas station. Someone had purchased a vape, and it didn't appear to be working. So he was, fiddling with it, and it was the security officer came up to him and fixed it for him.
Right. And I saw it's a little boy.
No, this is a big man.
Well,
but
I saw a little boy test one right in gas station in Four Roads there too. By the one by closer to Starlight. Well, the one just before Starlight.
Yeah.
He went in there and he was sold a vape pen, and he tested it right there, and he coolly walked out. And I said, but there should be an age limit. Play the video. Come on, play the video.
Video B, please.
Users, a UC Davis study concludes disposable vapes can be more toxic than traditional cigarettes. The study found one vape cartridge researchers tested released more lead during a day's use than nearly 20 packs of cigarettes. Scientists also found other heavy metals like nickel in the disposable devices.
Lead. You hear what I... Lead.
Play it one more time, please. Play it one more time, please.
There's a new warning for vape users. A UC Davis study concludes disposable vapes can be more toxic than traditional cigarettes. The study found one vape cartridge researchers tested released more lead during a day's use than nearly 20 packs of cigarettes. Scientists also found other heavy metals like nickel in the disposable devices.
Anger. You know that induces...
I could ask Google.
In Flint, Michigan.
Yes, with the water supply that was lead.
Thank you.
Lead exposed. Yes.
And you're exposed to lead, it is very dangerous.
Correct. Let me ask Gemini what.
But you know what stand out to me? They're saying it equivalent to over 20 packs of cigarette.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And if you see how people will be sucking on this thing.
Yeah, you could fill up this entire room with one puff of smoke from a vape pen.
So one in them puff is about 5 cigarettes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Correct. What are the short-term and long-term effects of vapes, and how does lead affect the body?
Vaping and lead exposure both have significant health consequences.
Lead.
Here's a breakdown. Short-term and long-term effects of vaping. Vaping involves inhaling an aerosol created by heating a liquid, often containing nicotine, flavorings, and other chemicals. While often perceived as safer than traditional cigarettes, vaping is not without risk. Short-term effects of vaping: respiratory issues, coughing, dry mouth and throat, shortness of breath, mouth and throat irritation, and chest pain. Systemic symptoms: headaches, nausea, vomiting, dizziness. Nicotine-related effects: increased heart rate and blood pressure, acute nicotine exposure can lead to seizures, EVALI, e-cigarette, or vaping, product use-associated lung injury, a severe and potentially fatal lung condition characterized by widespread lung damage. Symptoms include cough, shortness of breath, chest pain, fever, vomiting, and diarrhea. Long-term effects of vaping. The long-term effects of vaping are still being studied, as these products are relatively new. However, emerging data and current understanding suggest lung damage, chronic lung disease, asthma, permanent scarring in the lungs, e.g., bronchiolitis obliterans, also known as popcorn lung due to chemicals like diacetyl, increased risk of lung disease, cardiovascular issues, impaired blood vessel function, increased risk of heart disease, elevated blood pressure, hardened arteries. Nicotine addiction. Nicotine is highly addictive, and vaping can lead to dependence, withdrawal symptoms, irritability, difficulty concentrating, anxiety, cravings, and increased risk of transitioning to traditional cigarette smoking. Brain development. Especially in youth, nicotine can harm brain development, affecting memory, attention, learning, and mood. Oral health. Potential harm to teeth and gums. Increased risk of gum disease. Mental health. Vaping and nicotine can worsen mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Pregnancy. Nicotine exposure during pregnancy can harm the developing fetus, potentially leading to lower birth weight and slowed growth. Exposure to harmful chemicals. Vaping aerosols can contain harmful substances like formaldehyde, acrolein, and heavy metals, including lead, nickel, and tin, which are not safe to inhale. How does lead affect the body? Lead is a toxic metal that can cause severe and irreversible health problems, even at low levels of exposure. It affects multiple body systems and is particularly harmful to young children and pregnant women. How lead enters and affects the body. Lead can enter the body through inhalation, dust, fumes, ingestion, contaminated food, water, paint chips, soil, or, less commonly, skin absorption. Once in the body, it circulates in the blood and is distributed to organs like the brain, kidneys, liver, and bones. It can accumulate in teeth and bones over time.
You all heard? They wouldn't tell you that.
And there's much more. There's much more.
There's much more. Do your own research, folks, because some parents fall for the trick where their child tell them, well, I don't want to smoke cigarettes, so you can buy a vape pen for me, please.
Mhm.
And if parents fall for that and buy the vape pen just to appease them,
correct,
and you're going to have long-term consequences to deal with this child sucking on this device. So please, it's has some vape pen big like a phone.
And that had refillers and all cartridges to refill it.
Yeah, and you could replace it with other drugs.
But aren't they expensive? Like, how much is an average?
Just
It's like 100.
About 100,
Yeah.
150, yeah.
Depends on the brand.
And the size too, yeah.
So I think now this too, the state could look at by you cannot sell vape to minors.
Correct.
And we can't just say that and not do anything about it, because there are people who selling alcohol to minors, they're selling cigarettes to minors, they're selling these vape pens to minors.
What is the
Get
consequence?
our undercover police working.
Correct.
And you go in a bar and you see, send a strong message. You know, you go in a club, you ask people, can I see ID card? Encourage people to walk with ID cards now. You go into a club, card people, because a club could lose their license if police comes in there and find a 15, 16-year-old inside there.
Correct.
Shut it down.
But guys, you remember they made a move to put cigarettes behind the counter or in a cupboard, out of the view of the public.
Yeah.
But why are vapes front and center by the cashier?
All on the pavement.
Yeah.
What
you have showcases with vape pens in them.
Well, that is literally all you see at these gas station quick shops now.
Yeah.
Is the whole front of
on the counter right by the glass. So we had to
on
pass the money.
Correct. Right in your face.
So it's time for the big stick to come out now, and I would love to hear a report one day where a club was shut down or their license revoked because they're allowing minors into the club.
Yes.
And especially when you see the minors indulging in drug use, well, man, that is shut down and plus jail time.
Correct.
We need to start, because the club owners have to protect our children too. It cannot just be about money.
But most of them is about money. They don't business.
They don't care.
Until the authorities really kick in.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
So you are undercover police officer in a bar and you see a child walk into a bar and buy and being sold alcohol, you arrest the owner one time, shut the club down. Stop playing and let's grab this thing by the horns now. So let's go, short man now, Hinkson, let's go to Cush, the epidemic. Now if you're triggered by
drug
what
use.
you're going to see by drug use and the sores that break out on some of these people's skin is horrible.
Yes, and also a warning for the reporting. And as much as it may be triggering because it's not nice to see your own people going through things like this. And these are the kinds of reports that we often see coming out of Africa. So I want us to be very discerning when we look at this report. This is not. Yes, it is a problem in Africa, but it's also a problem in other parts of the world. So please do not stigmatize or generalize when it comes to African people, please.
And you will hear how far people are tend to go or continue to go for people to get that high. Imagine going in a graveyard and digging up. Play the video. Let's go to listen to this. If you could look at it for yourself. Go ahead.
This drug brings destruction.
We need help.
I keep smoking it because it makes me forget about my worries and challenges.
It's a temporary escape with a brutal come down. Cush looks like marijuana but can be 25 times stronger than fentanyl, making zombies out of men and women in Sierra Leone. This synthetic drug is creating an underworld in plain sight and rapidly spreading across West Africa.
Cush is such an issue here that there's even a drug den under this main road.
It's suffering, but all the thing we tell you now, we need help. All is it, we need help. We need help. Look at my condition.
The conditions of the people here are as haunting as their home, a den of deprivation and disease.
There's this shared sense of pain and entrapment, and everyone coming in and out is connected through their addiction to Cush. And they've all told us that they want to quit, but as long as they stay here, they'll never break free.
Elizabeth is 24 years old and pregnant with her second child, but can't bring herself to give up Cush as long as she stays here.
Elizabeth, does it feel like a risk to smoke Cush while you're pregnant? Why are you taking the risk?
I keep smoking it because it makes me forget about my worries and challenges.
The numbness of the high has worn off, and she can't hold back her pain. These are not the fringes of Freetown, but a place for people of all ages, caught in the clutches of Cush.
This drug is evil. This drug is bad. I don't know why they gave me this drug in this country. Our brothers are suffering. Some are dying. Some have sores on their feet. We don't know. This drug brings destruction. Look at me. Just because of this drug, I have sores on my feet.
There's a shelter among shacks for teenagers like Ibrahim, whose Cush-induced sores have eaten away at their limbs. Some are paralyzed by infection and malnutrition, lying in corners where others have died before. The rest are debilitated.
Does it hurt?
Abu Bakr is only 14 years old and was handed his first Cush joint at 12. He's been fighting for his life ever since.
When was the last time you walked?
Long time.
Their limbs are literally ravaged by this. They've got these huge open sores that they have to keep washing with disinfectant. They can't even walk, and yet they're still scrambling to get cash to buy more Cush to smoke. Are they still smoking Cush?
Yeah, I hope so they still smoke.
Even with all this pain?
All this pain will get they still smoke.
It's a prison with an open door. The drug is destroying everything they need to survive.
So that was a Sky News report about the impact of Cush in Sierra Leone, and it focuses on the users themselves, not on the sellers or the producers of the drug. And we understand that this drug that looks like marijuana but is not marijuana has some really horrific ingredients. God.
Yep. Imagine digging up bones, digging up bodies of dead
Graveyards.
people and crushing their bones and putting it in drugs for people to smoke. And the guy admit, yeah, you know he's killing people. But what I would do, I need the money. That's what I didn't want to do. Because I contacted a former pusher, guy who I bought drugs from, he and another guy, to come on the program and tell you what made them start and what made them stop selling drugs. Because I know one, when his brother started using cocaine, he saw his brother turn vagrant right before his very eyes, and he was making money. You know, his brother coming and he's selling him drugs.
Hmm.
And yeah. So,
He's selling his brother the drugs?
Yes.
Same cocaine he's smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother started selling first and then he started using. And he turned vagrant, literally. You know. So, Trinidad and Tobago, as much as we can just warn you so you can warn your children. Drugs today, not even, I can't even say, it's not even like the drugs of long ago. It's worse now, it's more dangerous, and you all don't stand a chance.
Because as was mentioned last week with Mr. Figueroa, the bottom line is profit over people. They don't care what they're selling and how it impacts you or your children or your loved ones. They are going to sell you a product that, just like the vapes, that is going to destroy your health and your livelihood, and they will be walking away with their pockets full. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, again, Daniel, what would you like to say to those in authority listening to you this morning?
Well, I would like to say a lot, but to the point, I would like them to look into my case and, you know, give me the opportunity, because I think I really deserve it, despite what I've been through, despite my past. You know, the crime per se is not a non-violent crime, that is one, and I have a lot to offer to the youths of this nation. I have a lot to offer, especially to our schools. So I really calling on whoever it is in authority to, as we just say, ignite back the fire. Calling on them to ignite back the fire and concerning the pardon committee, because I personally never know this thing exists, right? And something need to be done for it to be awakened. So I feel that they should just come together and start to release some pardon onto us, because it's not only me but other ex-inmates. We are good people. We really want change. We really want to show that, you know, we didn't waste our times in prison. We're not just doing this by guess. We really want it. And persons like myself, I just hope and pray that they really hear this and they really come forward and start to pardon us, I should say. Start with me first. Lead me by example. No, because I'm young, I have a lot to offer, and I'm not just saying this. I know me, and I know what I've been through, and one of my main callings is giving back, like motivation, go to schools, youth clubs, police, you name it. I want to do that. I want to do that. Just so I feel when we start to do that, or when that is in progress, that will help with the crime rate, especially in the nation schools, especially just fighting, and it will help. So I just asking for a pardon, asking for an opportunity to restart my life in a proper way.
And encouragement, because Natasha will tell you folks, when and my mother always used the term locho. Locho means, you know, you have no ambition, and she always warn us, don't get married and you can't take care of your family, you know. So when I started, that will make me play fast and get married, Natasha. You know,
fast.
when we did the first round of lectures, I didn't know I was so good. And I thought, well, the ministry would have seen value for money, because we always talk about value for money. And when the ministry spends money to do something, we would do a report. We report on everything. I've been going through some archives with Natasha. The amount of reports Natasha wrote is amazing. It's mind-boggling. And so when I did those lectures, I said, well, all right, no, I could be employed because I have a presidential pardon, and everybody say the lectures are good. It needs to continue. The sergeants may said the younger soldiers need to hear this because this man was here, and so I said, yes, value for money. And crickets after that. And I'm saying, but what went wrong? You see in the reports, we presented the reports to you, it was on your desk, and everybody testified, from private soldier to commissioned officer, these lectures are great, let it continue. And nothing happened. So I keep asking myself, but why? Why should this happen? You know, and it blew my mind, honestly. And I feel like I'm living in the upside down because in other countries they would snap up people like us. You know, this is what.
Correct.
In Canada, where I was in Canada working, you know, legitimately, you know, I had a work permit, was singing with a band and everything, and I could have decided, okay, let me give my service to Canada instead of coming back home here. But I returned home thinking that they think the same way. I was in for a rude awakening. I remember Mr. Percival inviting us to a drug council meeting, the National Drug Council meeting one time when I walk in there, and I'm telling you all the truth, right? I'm not making this up. I'm not relying on anybody. The DPP, Chief Justice, colonels, and you name it, everybody, stiff-necked room. And the look I got from some of them, and I say, you know, them don't understand they have a drug council because of people like me.
It was not for you, that was it.
If we didn't have a drug problem, we would need a drug council.
Correct.
But the way I was treated by those folks, and I'm saying, but we living in the upside down. You know, I sprung along with, you know, DC sprung along used to make a joke. He said the only thing that makes sense in Trinidad and Tobago is Hilton Hotel.
Yes, because they're upside down.
Because they're upside down.
Correct.
He said that the only thing that makes sense here, and you know, it was a joke, but sometimes I ask myself,
the truth.
Are we living in the upside down? I walk into that National Drug Council meeting, I was treated like a pariah, and like I don't belong there.
But
and I'm
even
saying, but it's because of people like me you have a drug council.
Correct. But even the stigma of prison follows you regardless of your station in life. Look at the recent appointment of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Didn't people have question marks over his appointment to that position? Even despite the fact that he appealed the conviction and was and the case was quashed.
And people still had a problem with him getting the Speaker of the House job. Yeah, because that's how we think here. You know, you must stay down. Don't come up at all. You know, and you... Could we go to the lines?
Yes.
For a few minutes, please? Let's kind of calm down here.
And let's discuss this issue of pardons and second chances in general. For how do we really view persons who have run afoul of the law, and how can we make life better for them upon their release into
do you know
to
anybody
society?
need a pardon out there, or do you yourself have applied for one and didn't get through, and how long you have been waiting? Let's have that discussion. So we go to the line 622-3937, and we have a call. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
I want to say that, you know, it's always commendable that men that want to change their life from one
Just now,
place
sir,
to
start
the
over. We didn't
Hello?
hear you. Right, go ahead.
You hear me better now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I really want to commend the gentleman for wanting to change their life from one stage to another. It have a lot of persons who were never incarcerated, but yet still they're not willing to change. But that doesn't make them even better than you. But that saying that, you know, pardon is not something it doesn't come. It's not supposed to come with that tone of entitlement. Now I've heard persons plead for pardon and ask for pardon, and deservedly so. They would have done a lot in their personal life to develop themselves from one stage to the next. However, I would really caution against, and because I've done some work with persons in that area, that field, and I always tell folks, it's not how hard you ask a partner, it's not how demanding you are, it's not how much work you do. That is something society has to give freely and honestly, not because you demanded it or you shout for it or threaten persons that listen, if I don't get it, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, I wouldn't even say, but that is that threat people use sometimes. If I don't get my way in this pardon from you, then I'm going to do something somewhere. I'm not encouraging folks not to pardon people. I'm just saying, that it's really up to society to do that, because you would have do it against society. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
6223937.
Morning, Natasha. Morning to God.
Morning.
Jagdeo Singh community build a fence around them. And that is something we should look at. Even though people don't want to accept him like me, his community stood up for him. And that's where it started, Gatti. You understand where I'm coming from, Gatti?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the power of his community. And we should start thinking along those lines as well, too. So God won't be in this situation. God, boy, as you say unto the young guy, good morning, too, and, be strong. God, probably, as I told you, as your wife said, I want to see you fail, brother. I have come to the conclusion, I stopped making joke. When I ready to make joke, I know where to go. I come to the conclusion, there are people in Trinidad and Tobago, I want to see you fail. As a lady tell me, wicked heart, wicked intentions, I want to see you eaten out of a dustbin. That's just the reality. And we like too much gossip. There's always three sides to a story, but that takes a bit of sincerity to find out, the truth, and just running with gossip. So, God, as I say, I continue to wish you well, and to the young man, and as I say, if you're in a foreign land, and God Sinclair, the great living Queen of Soul, Mary J. Blige, snorting cocaine and red wine. I hope one day you all could get her. You know that as well, right? She's reformed as well. Drug addict. She was it was cocaine and red wine, who we grew up on, Mary J. Blige. But God, you stay strong, and as I say to your wife, Jack the Singh community, Bella fence around them. Thanks.
Thank you very much. 6223937. Good morning.
Good morning, God.
Go ahead, sir, you're live.
Yes, this should be a familiar voice to you. You had an experience where you received a presidential pardon. True?
Yeah.
Right. And there was a case where you were being denied something that you were entitled to, that of a veteran's ID card. A senior person. Lobbying had to take place with a retired Chief of Defense Staff, speaking with the current Chief of Defense Staff to cause that to come to fruition. That should never be so. So while there are demigods out there who feel their position supersedes the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, there's still a struggle because your case wasn't taken up. Some draft policy that was not promulgated from the Defense Council were being used to deny a number of people that veteran's ID card. So I just want you to bear that in mind.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. 6223937. Yeah, that too. I had to actually, as that was Major Fletcher, and he had to intervene actually for me to get a veteran ID card. And but again, this is what happens. As I say to servicemen, you don't know who you would meet. You don't know how it will turn out. You have a chance to serve your country. Serve your country in dignity and person. Those of you who know you have servicemen you're working with involved in crime, you are just as complicit too by encouraging them to do it and not saying anything. You need to respect your colors, respect your kit, respect your unit, and be proud when you put on that kit that you are beyond reproach for anything that you do. Nobody is perfect. We don't live in a perfect world, but you have a chance to serve your country, do it right now. That is all I'm asking for you all, because you don't want to end up like how most of us servicemen ended up, and having to depend on the good graces of people to survive. I don't want to do that. But unfortunately, it's like that sometimes. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. God Sinclair and Mr. Cush.
Yes, turn off your
Morning.
radio
Turn off your
first,
radio.
please.
Sorry. I have been listening to this program with Daniel, and it touches my heart. I'm an elderly person, and I would like to get Mrs. Sinclair's number so I can meet with him and give him some ideas I have. And I personally would like to help that young man. It's a good idea I have. If I can get Mr. Sinclair's number, I'll appreciate it very much to meet with him sometime. Please.
Right. Can you call downstairs and leave your number?
Yes, I will.
Right. Just call and leave it now with your name, and I'll call you.
What's downstairs number? I don't know.
628-4955.
628.
4955.
4955.
Yes, and when the prompt comes on, just press 0 and it will take you security and it leave your number.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry. Thank you.
Quick with it.
Thank you for your call. And
Good morning.
Good
yes,
morning.
Grand Rising, yeah.
Morning, Gata. Natasha.
Hi, Kathy. How you doing?
Beautiful people. I wish the best for both of you. And you know I want to see one of you up there. Okay? You know what I talk about?
Yes, you sound a little muffled.
I want to tell you, God, and Natasha, say more about the fundraiser, because we want to get some tickets or whatever. Me and my family would like to support. Okay then?
I appreciate
so
that.
Please, I missed it clean. Some distraction or something. So say more about it, please.
All right.
Encourage you thing.
Yes.
Okay then.
You're welcome. Well, you know, you can, like I said, you can, if you want, you can meet us here after the program on Sunday, or you can call us at 756-6337. Place your order. You can WhatsApp us, or you can send us a message on our Dependency Facebook page, and we will contact you.
Yes,
We need
it's
to get those tickets off.
$55 per ticket, and that gives you either one regular wrap roti or 2 mini rotis from
Yes.
Hot Shop.
So we have just about 5 more minutes to take some calls. 622-3937. If you wish, like I said, you know somebody who needs a pardon or applied for one, Daniel. So which means now you're not working after last night's experience.
Nah.
You're back on the breadline.
Yeah, somewhat of the only thing as I say is like doing my little PJ and stuff through the maintenance, landscaping thing that I just do. Yeah. But I have a large clientele, but how I don't have enough tools and stuff is kind of breaking down for now.
Right. And, you know, to the parents out there, again, who reaching out to us for help. The only way your son or daughter can get that help is if they admit they have a problem and they want the help. No rehab will take them if they cannot admit they have a problem, and they will be disruptive. They must admit and willing to get the help. Hello? You're live?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello,
good morning. Hey, bossman, good day. I want to get in this conversation, and I would like to get in it by calling a number so I could speak to you personally, because I was at DP, at the 40, 15 years in jail. I don't want to talk on the air like that. I want to deal with you first before I talk on the air. I would like to get a number where I could contact you and talk to you,
Sure.
if it's possible.
All right. If you're in a position to take the number, or you
Yeah,
can call.
I have a pen here right now.
All right. So call 628-4955.
628
4955.
55. And what to do after that?
Press 0 when the prompt comes on, and you can leave your number and I will call you.
Thank you very much, right?
628-4955. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so that's it basically, folks. That's it. We give you as much information here this morning as much as possible. You were exposed to few information that you can put to use. Remember this program, you can always go back to the beginning. At the end of it, you can go to Facebook or YouTube and get this program from the beginning, and whatever you missed, you can have the opportunity to listen to the entire thing. This discussion about presidential pardons and cleaning people's records is very important for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, regardless to where you live.
Yep, and it's also a crime-fighting measure, and it helps prevent reoffending, as we had mentioned earlier. So if we are really concerned about crime, this is something that we need to attend to urgently.
Yeah, and I want to say to that last caller, I don't think anybody threatened that if I will get a pardon, this is what I will do. I don't think that happened. I also mentioned that, yes, we all agree poverty is no excuse for crime. But again, if a man is trying every day and he cannot get a job and he cannot get anybody to listen to him, how many nights you expect him to sit and look his family in the eye or go to bed hungry and he feel helpless, he can't do anything? You borrow money from here, you have to borrow money to pay it back. You borrow money from money lender, you have to pay it back. How many times would he be able to do that? Because he wants to be a man in the house. Because he wants to contribute. And he don't want to get his family evicted. Who do we speak with? This is what we're talking about. If not for Vision and Mission, if Vision and Mission say, look, we can't take any more, what should I do from there? Daniel, we want to thank you very much. Those of you who join us on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much as usual. Rosemary out there in Brooklyn, Rosemary out there in Canada, Lyris, Carlson, Patricia, all of you, we appreciate your continued support and contributions that you continue to make. Remember, the curriculum is on. Give us a call, leave a message. Let's try and get these tickets off our hands so that we can do the much needed research we need to and share it with you when it's completed. So thank you once again, and Major News is up next with Miss Laptu. Yeah? All right. So